Welcome back to What the Flag. We hope that you enjoyed the breakdown about Olga Sotillo. I know we love to hear it. Now, we are all experiencing the beautiful, beautiful weather that Europe, maybe the US, has to offer. Some of us are not surviving. I am not built for this weather. Yes, you are poorly, but you're in the States in the like 33-degree heat. You're a trooper in your jumper. What's wrong? What's happened to our Yasmin?
I'm going to blame the aircon. I know that's probably not the reason. I think there's probably some kind of cellular reason that I'm sick, but we're going to say it was the aircon that did it.
Totally.
Um, but it's right on cue. I was sick this time last year before conference camps, and we won it. So the script is scripted. So here we are.
Exactly.
Just replaying it, replaying season two, same storyline.
Run it back. That's what it's
Ready to
saying.
go. Fair
Yeah.
enough, fair enough. Are you
Where's
not
the fun
warm in
stuff?
that? Are you not warm in that hoodie though? It's 30 something degrees, you said?
No, because again, I'm someone with an aircon. So in
Ah,
here
of
it's
course.
like -4 degrees. So
That
I'm here
is
with a long.
that is the thing with America. Like it might be so boiling hot outside, but you almost have to bring like a jumper or a jacket with you everywhere because any restaurant, any building you go into, it's like an ice box. But you have to be prepared for that.
Time. All the time. And everyone here is sitting here in t-shirt. Like, actually, they look at me like, clearly not American because I'm sitting here like wrapped up. I got my gilet sometimes. I've got my jumper, and then it's there in t-shirts. Like,
And
I will
Ken,
never.
how was Paris?
Paris was good. Paris was amazing. Capital Bowl this weekend. Always a kind of fun competition. Always kind of close to, uh, big IFAF competition time. So, um, played some good games. We had 7 games overall, 4 games on the Saturday, 3 games on a Sunday, as mostly Team Spain. Not all of the squad was there, but we were under the guise of the Dukes slash Red Spartans. Um, but yeah, a good fun weekend. Lots to learn. Came away with the win. Came away with the championship. So that's another one to add to the collection. Humble brag. I'm looking. I'm trying to collect like I'm Thanos, like, but in a good way. I'm trying to collect all the European trophies. So I think all of them, apart from there's a few new ones like Adria Bowl, newer, I should say. Adria Bowl, and QB Monica, she has some unpaid debts with Copenhagen Bowl. So we'll be at those next year because those are the only two. I think like again, humble brag, like with Monica, we've at some point Champs Bowl, Big Bowl, King Bowl, Pink Bowl.
All the bowls.
Yeah, all the bowls, all the bowls. So that was but it was good to go to Paris. We 2 years ago, I think it was their second edition. We made it to the finals. We lost against the Austrians, lovely Saskia and Sophie. Um, so it's always good to kind of go back and get the one that got away, if that makes sense. But I really enjoyed it. Weather was blistering hot, but made it through. Everyone's healthy, which is the biggest part. And so I'm super, super, super happy. Yes.
so it's something like what 30 something days now away from like the World Flag Game. So obviously you guys have come back from. Would you call this, or would you say this was just like a skills session, or like how is this sort of helping to build you towards like world competition in about a month's time?
Really and truly because of the setup with Team Spain, but also because of kind of individual players traveling and, some players are at college in the States and stuff like that. It was the first time, at least for me, getting my offense. And even then, we didn't have everyone together, but probably the starting group. This was the first time all of us have been together since European Championships last year. So there were a lot of kind of like joint cobwebs to get off, joint rust to shake off. There were some mistakes, but it's good to kind of come away with a win and things to improve on. That's a kind of always my, if I could choose every time, that would be the combination. And so coming out of that, that's why the everyone coming out without injuries piece is so important at this stage. You just don't really want to risk injuries. And we have one more camp at the end of the month. Again, it's 3 practices, a 2-day event, but it's always you're in that period now where you're just like, we kind of need to go full speed, but like I need everyone to be fit, fighting, ready to go at the start of the World Championships. really
But
and truly.
how do you manage that? Because ultimately, I think back, gosh, for like my Euros and Worlds, like when I was playing tackle, like I played tackle the week before, 2 weeks before. I played in a flag competition the week before, and I actually for my game feel like that helped me because it pushed me. But I can understand as a coach, it's like do nothing, wrap yourself in bubble wrap. But like there
Big
has
goals
to
on.
be, and I think there's also an element of at least I know with GB now our we've got David. We keep talking about David Sutton, our kind of analytics S&C nerd, who really guides us through a lot of it, and like our tasks kind of S&C coaches who will, this is when you deload and do all that. But for some people, they almost need that like beforehand. But how do you manage it?
And to that point, I think it's what you called out already is the distinction between being a player and being a coach. As a player, I'm exactly the same as you, and I know for a fact, to the extent of some small arguments, that our players are wanting to just play because certainly the one thing you cannot do is be afraid of getting injured. 9 times out of 10, it's when you worry about injuries that injuries happen, you know? So, but from a coaching standpoint, it's quite literally since May, June, every time the girls are playing in some competition or somewhere, it's almost like I become that nervous parent. Like I can't watch. I just I need to get to the end of the day, and I get that message that everyone's fine, everyone's healthy, everyone's okay. That's kind of what I need to get to. But at the same time, I have to we go to practice. We won't overdo it. That's the key. So it will be doing strictly what is necessary for learning, not just scrimmaging for the sake of, not just running drills for the sake of running drills, but because also if you in Spain in the Catalonia region, which is no, yeah, Catalonia region, which is kind of northern east of Spain, they've had like temperatures of up to 42 degrees centigrade. So when we're out there, is there any value in running players round? I mean, we would never train in the middle of the day anyway, but it would be 30 degrees and above. Like, is it worth it? So it's about managing it. It's about being aware of it, but not being afraid of it.
And I think that's an interesting point because you're looking at how teams are preparing now, right? So Germany's only an hour, 2 hour time difference ultimately for some people, some obviously a little bit more. If you're Mexico, USA, like we always talk about it when you're thinking about moving on to next competition, you want to start acclimating to the times that you're going to be playing, working out at those hours. But I guess how does that work if you're from a country like probably Mexico and Spain that are incredibly hot right now? You don't want to be training in the middle of the day. You don't, and you might be having games in the middle of the day. So like if
Mm.
you're used to training at 9 p.m. at night, or I don't know, you guys do some late meetings and stuff, how does that translate to on field?
And honestly, like, to your point, definitely I can speak for the Spanish way is early mornings aren't particularly ideal for anyone in Spain at all. Like
Yeah.
most things work
Oh, we
later.
know, we know.
So, that being the case, um, all you have to do, you have to get there early. And if you can, what we try to do is at the very least a day before, two, maybe three, you have to the way you would the time you would wake up on your first game day. So most people have their first game at 8 a.m. or 9:15. Ours is on, it's a 9:15 kickoff, which means probably by 6 a.m. you have to be up to eat breakfast so that that all does what it needs to do before you're out going full tilt on the field. So you would replicate that at the very least the day before, if not the 2 days prior, because that will feed in my, into your sleep cycle and kind of rest periods through the day. So, and I again for teams, I think the last time it was Finland, this time it's Germany. So all the teams from Australia, New Zealand, from the ridiculous travel schedules that they have, Mexico, USA, like people are coming from great distances, but hopefully and it's kind of what they do. They try to get in a day or two earlier still. So, people coming from out of the continent come earlier still, and then the guys from kind of Europe, or Africa that align with it's just Nigeria coming, but they align with the time frame, or like maybe there's an hour difference, that's not too big a jump, and then it's just But also, in my opinion, if you're used to playing in the heat, we're not expecting it to be as hot as this in Germany. I think the trouble is the other way when you go from being in a low temperature climate to go into somewhere that's then super hot and humid, and how you manage the acclimatization that way.
I think as well that's where the benefit of having a tournament is a few days long comes from as well, because you have that time to acclimate rather than, there are in the sport of football in general, you can sometimes be trapped in those like round robin games where you have like one day to go, then you play a game, then it's off home, and then you basically start your normal life again. I think part of that, getting used to things like the temperature, getting used to your wake up times, is having that the the luxury of a competition that lasts more than just like 2 days,
Yeah,
and having the ability at the beginning sort of adjust to that, set your routines out so you can sort of almost like pre-plan how your games are going to go, and then make that sort of easier, especially if you've got countries that are traveling, like Mexico to Germany and Nigeria to Germany, like they're huge differences, so
yeah. But the only difference with flag is some of those games early on do matter. It's not like you do kind of get stuck in early doors, and any team that has a bad first day will probably have a bad tournament because it can be very difficult to regain that momentum. So you kind of have to, like
hit
it's
the
not
ground
impossible.
running.
Exactly, exactly. Because if you're not literally, if you lose two games in your group, it's impossible. Is it impossible? Pretty much. It's impossible to make it
Back.
through in the top two, if once you've lost two games. So you can lose one and then fix the others and hope, like see what happens. Once you've lost two, you can't. So you do need to hit the ground running and then maintain it. Yeah, but it's going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting looking at the schedules, looking at how they play out, because there's potential for a number of teams in the higher kind of bracket to uh, basically to only play one game on the second day. Which will be it will be very interesting how that all plays out, and it gives time for scouting, but does it give time for overthinking? Does it give time for stress to build?
Would that like is almost like the equivalent of a bye week? Like if you only have that one game that day, like you get the opportunity to like rest, recover before you go
Kind
into.
of, kind of, kind of, kind of.
Mm.
But I mean, it'll be all eight teams in the quarterfinals that get that. And again, this I think it's the same for the women's and the men's, to be honest. But it will be that kind of idea that goes, as you go through. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm excited. I'm like, everything's gonna happen because ultimately nothing ever goes to plan for anyone. There's never any team that's been like, oh yeah, all of that happened exactly as we thought it would. But it will be kind of the fun, the excitement is where you have to adapt, how you adapt, how you choose to adapt, because the winning and losing is in those decisions as much as possible. So some of it's luck, some of it is
Preparation,
genius. Yeah.
opportunity.
It'll be
I'm
fun.
I'm gonna bring us back because I totally took us off topic from Capitol Bowl. But one of the things I know talking to you, Kenny, whilst you were out there, was how much, I guess, how much the fans came out for France. I know you end up playing Fenris, which is the French team in the final with, the no-look quarterback, and I just think she's phenomenal anyways. But how did you find like the French fans whilst being in Paris?
To your point, shout out Florine. She's the no look QB. A great. I think she's gonna be genuinely like really really good. She hates me because I don't think she's ever beaten any of my teams. But great athlete, great competitor. Um, France is a hotbed for flag, and I think it's only when you get out there that you realize it's not necessarily all the French teams that travel, but there are a lot of French teams, a lot of women's teams in particular playing flag football on a regular basis, and they do it their own way, but they get it. So they bring the noise, they bring the energy. I think we got off slightly because in the semi-final, it was kind of the two top French teams that played against each other, and there's a long-standing rivalry there between the Red Lips and Fenris Dijon, Molossus Red Lips and Fenris Dijon. So Um, so in the final, I think we kind of got the benefit of half the crowd maybe not being behind the French team as you might expect, considering they were facing a Spanish team. But it's my way, it's our way. You respect everyone, you know, every competitor is like, so it's not like I don't think there's ever any need to be like, oh yeah, the French or you know whatever. Like I think they do things well. The tournament was well organized, well run, and it was good. Paris is always an experience. Someone described it like being like they said one of the guys' first time in Paris, he was like, it's just like Croydon, which was very, very, very
In
interesting
South
to me.
London,
Yeah, South
for any of
London,
our
just yeah.
American or whatever voice. But I think it was great. They had it live streamed. They had commentators. Louisa, I know, popping in on one of those, but they made me laugh. One of the commentators kept being, it was like, it's garbage time. It's garbage time. And I was like, I kind of, they're like, it's all in French. And then you've added this kind of like Americanisms
Uh,
or whatever. And I just
yeah.
think it's great. Like, it's just showing that everybody's trying to elevate the game,
Hmm.
especially with so much going on. And then GB, I know they had, well, two things. You had GB that had two different teams out there, kind of as Pride 2 and Pride 3, and that's just, as a program growing and developing. Every competition this year in Europe, like it has different age group rules. So some of them say if you're 16 plus, you can play. If you're 18 and under, or 18 and over, whatever that may be. So it changes for each competition. I think we're going to get to a point where we need to have youth flag football competitions. I know that Big Bowl with in Germany, they're looking to potentially have more youth side. We saw some of that this year, but I do think the youth piece is going to have to grow because otherwise, right now, youth are working towards the European Championships in
Continental Championships.
at the end of September. But other than that, they have no real competition unless they seek it out themselves. So it is a very interesting time indeed.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of responsibility that lays with those who run youth programs domestically, regardless of the country, because it's not, I think it's one thing to have your team in your locality or local area. It's another thing planning a traveling trip for them, and especially for us here in the UK, a trip that will likely at the very least involve putting everyone on a ferry or flights. Like when you have to start considering those things, I think there's a lot of team leads, managers that are kind of like, nah, we're all right. Because they benefit from the experience, and there are many people who kind of message and say, hey, like Kenny, Jukes, whatever it is, like, can we get on? Can we sort out a team? The other part of all of it is with youth teams, it's more challenging to just sort out a weekend away. You have to consider parents and families and so on and so forth. So it's a lot more consideration. But to your point, someone has to be willing to, as it were, bite the bullet and go for that.
Well, and I'll let you in a sec. Yeah, as you just look at Conquer SoCal, right? The team from West Coast, Ryan Bertoni, it's a flag football program out in California. They just brought their team, their families out to Italy to go play in Italy, like at a flag competition. And so people are doing it because also when they're younger, like the parents make that something to look forward to. Like it's exciting for them to be able to go away. You use it as a bit of a holiday, family trip, bring the rest of your kids. They do a lot at Disney. Like it is exciting. Sorry, yeah, I was going.
Oh no, not at all. I was just going to say that's where I guess the beauty and things like the Chicago Bears League comes in because you kind of already have that infrastructure there. It just mostly falls on sort of like the organisers of the event and then teachers who kind of a lot of that stuff like parental provision and trips that sort of comes under your job role, right? So it's about how do you break that that I guess gap between translating it from like the schools where you already have that infrastructure and they've had this sort of like the practice, the tournaments, the games, the teachers that have organised it and sort of make it into a team that can actually compete at a youth level that doesn't necessarily involve them competing in the school. And I think you're right, Ken, where you said you just need someone that's willing to step up and take that. But then again, like what is that? Is that a voluntary role? Is that a paid role? Is that free and professional like
Who's
leagues
paying for
like
it?
across the day? Well, this is what I mean. Like
Yeah.
how do you bridge that gap, right? Because a lot of like I said, teachers do it because it falls within their job role, right? Like
Mm.
organizing trips, and it's a great opportunity. It's a great thing for them to be a part of. Like you don't always get those people that are willing to do those things voluntarily
No, no,
because the
no.
amount of stress it entails. So
Yeah.
where
But
how do you bridge that gap?
I think a potential solution is someone who has the ability, reach, resources to do so. You create a toolkit, like just a complete a one stop shop for everything you need if you're planning a trip that includes, have you thought about insurance? Have you thought about safeguarding? Have you thought about ratios? Have you done like, and it's, you have all the forms there, like ready to go. Here's what you need, edit the details, but send this to parents. Someone needs to do that, but
What you're saying is when Uncle Wayne Hill retires, this is what he's going into.
you you can put, coach, I didn't put your name forward. That Yaz did that. That's a
But it's his birthday this weekend, so shout out Wayne Hill
shout out
for
Uncle
your
Wayne.
birthday because this weekend is also the coaching convention. Woo, kicking off this Friday, the 10th of July. And it's the first time that we're going to have 2 full days of flag football conferences. So we've got a ton of coaches flying over. Um, Rob Curran flies over. Well, I think most of them are here now, to be honest with you. Rob Curran from SUNY Geneseo, flag football program, Steve Arnold, um, again from like the collegiate side of things, which is so exciting. OJ, Odessa Jenkins, out here from WNFC doing tackle and flag. I mean, we've got, literally so many people, which is so exciting. Rich McEwen, who's going to do officiating. Vic Henderson, who's part of kind of the Ravens UK flag piece, but also going to talk about almost similar to what you've been talking about, like the youth side of things, starting flag football programs in schools. Jack Reed and Mark Yostranda are going to be doing virtual ones. So like, and then of course David Sutton, our wonderful local resident nerd when it comes to S&C and analytics. So like it's going to be such a full day on field as well. It's all at the University of Nottingham. It is free for anybody to attend. Just come show up. There is obviously tackle talks going on at the same time, but it is going to be an incredibly busy day. And this
Well,
kind of, yes.
sorry, super good. Will it be streamed, recorded, videos, any
It
access?
will be recorded, but access, I'd imagine, would be as a BAFA member.
Okay.
So really just get your butts there. What else are we doing? There's pretty much a lot of football has been stopped because it is the coaching convention. So make sure you come on over. And then ultimately, this kind of part of our show is turned into like the events part. Um, but right now, and Ken, I'll let you kind of take over the NFL flag championships that are happening in Africa. Like,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
much is being said about it, but it is going on.
I know, I know. There's a bit. I was trying to get Phil because no one. I've still not seen Nigeria play yet, and we have to play them first in at the World Championships. But no, it's I think it's NFL flag championship with a bit of a twist because there's adult teams going. There's a lot of work. Shout out Lars and Russ Hewitt, who were also at Capital Ball actually working on some funky stuff, some new technology for IFAF. So they've gone out there to kind of test some of it out as well. I don't think I'm allowed to say anything about it, so I'm gonna keep it secret, and it's gonna be something I know that you all don't know. But I'm sure we'll find out about it closer to the time. Um, but yes, Nigeria's out there. They're in Kenya, in Nairobi. I saw that like, I think South Africa is one of the teams out there as well. So it sounds like it should be a great event. I just really wish there was more coverage of it so we could celebrate it all together. I hope something comes out at the end of it. Because again, I'm sure there'll be social media content. I hope. I really, really hope. But apparently, it is the Kenyan kind of national elections, so that kind of comes with a bit of heightened security. Yes, that's a good way to look, check me out being diplomatic. Uh, but it
Wow.
sounds like it should be a great event. I think that's one of my bucket list items would be to get involved in flag in Africa in some way, shape, or form. But yeah, we'll see what's this space. We'll see what's coming next.
Would you just say in like Yoruba, is it just flag football? It's not like you don't have like another word. How would you?
Yeah, yeah,
Boring.
flag football. Yeah.
Boring.
So
Oh,
Give us something
Timmy.
different.
NFL flag. You could put an accent on it, which I'm not going to
Go
do.
on.
But
Oh,
no,
Rude.
oh,
no.
boring. We could have been
Yeah, NFL
bilingual
flag.
right there.
Exactly. Exactly. Now you're holding everybody back from success.
Yeah, good, good, good.
Good.
Let's all stay together. Let's.
But yeah, I mean, lots going on. I think right now, even in Australia, we've got NFL flag championships. Everything right now is kind of leading to the accumulation, was that the word? Of the NFL flag championships next in 2 weeks, I guess, from today, out in, well, not in, near Indianapolis, basically where the Colts train. So we'll be doing an episode next week all about our ESPN NFL Flag Championships. I will be out there. I know a lot of like the best flag that we get to see from the youth happens at this event, which is so cool. I always think back to like Bryson Wright last year having that kind of reach over, crazy catch over three people. And he was only 14. So he's got a whole nother year of playing in 15U.
Oh, he's going to be playing again?
Oh,
Oh,
he
that's
was,
not fair.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
not
yeah.
fair. They should
Yeah.
bump him up. Once you make that catch, should make him ineligible for that age bracket. They should force him
Put him
into
in
the
the
next.
adults league.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
He looks like a grown man. I'm like, he could play easily. I'm like, Blessing, we gotta run this clip now, producer Blessing.
yeah. You
Of
say yeah,
Bryson.
yeah, yeah.
Ravens 5. So no reason not to go for it here. Gets rid of it into the end zone. Right! One hand! Wow! Bryson Wright with a spectacular grab!
Well, it's going to be a backhand one-hander. This is just a jump ball from Dalton Motes. Watch the catch. Oh, my God.
And to complete the route through the contact even before that.
That is the end of the.
That is truly unbelievable.
The clip alone should probably boost our following anyway.
But it's going to be a great week of flags. So we've got tons more flag coming up for you. For now, guys, short and sweet. I know we love it. But until next week, thank you all for joining us. For more What the Flag, make sure you like, subscribe, and ring the bell.